Tom Brady. Tom Brady's rise began the moment Drew Bledsoe went down, and it felt like the league had accidentally opened a door it could never close again. Brady stepped in with a calm most young quarterbacks only pretend to have, and every week he pushed the Patriots closer to a dynasty nobody saw coming. His early playoff run showed a level of composure that made veterans stare, and once he grabbed the starting job, he refused to give it back. What made his story even wilder was how fast he turned doubt into a weapon, using every slight as fuel. The 6th round label followed him everywhere, but he kept rewriting what that meant, and what comes next only gets even more unbelievable. Nick Foles. Nick Foles went from forgotten backup to Philadelphia legend in a way that still feels unreal. When Carson Wentz suffered a season-ending injury, nobody expected Foles to carry the full weight of a Super Bowl chase, but he walked into the moment like he had been waiting his whole career. His playoff run kept escalating, each game revealing a quarterback playing with fearless confidence. Then came the showdown against New England, where Foles unleashed the performance of his life and secured the title that changed everything. The Philly special became the most iconic trick in modern football, but that's not all because the aftermath turned him into a folk hero. Foles proved that sometimes the backup is exactly what a franchise needs. Kurt Warner. Kurt Warner's story feels engineered in a writer's room because it should not have happened in real life. He went from stocking shelves to running one of the greatest offenses the league has ever seen. And every step of that journey made his rise more unbelievable. When Trent Green went down, Warner was thrown into the starting job with enormous pressure, but he delivered instant fireworks. The greatest show on turf became a spectacle built around his timing, vision, and complete refusal to panic. He won a championship, stacked MVP awards, and stunned everyone again. When he revived the Arizona Cardinals years later, his resilience kept defying expectations. And it gets crazier when you realize how close he came to never getting a shot. Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers had to sit behind a legend, and that weight turned him into one of the most precise quarterbacks the game has ever seen. When he finally replaced Farve, the spotlight was blinding, but Rodgers handled it with a calm edge and a sharpness that stunned defenses. His accuracy became something defenses dreaded, and every throw looked like it had been designed on a blueprint. Fans watched him turn tight windows into routine completions, and that confidence only grew after he delivered a Lombardi trophy. Rodgers created a brand of quarterback play that made impossible throws feel expected. His consistency year after year kept Green Bay in contention. But that's not all, because his rise exposed how dangerous patience can be for the rest of the league. Steve Young. Steve Young stepped into a role most quarterbacks would crumble under, replacing Joe Montana at the height of San Francisco's legacy. The expectations were suffocating, but Young answered with a level of efficiency that made the transition look smoother than anyone predicted. He blended mobility with accuracy and created a style that pushed the 49ers offense into a new era. His breakout seasons showcased a confidence that grew sharper every year, and when he finally won the championship that silenced all critics, it felt like he had completed a mission he had been preparing for forever. Young's determination reshaped his career, but it gets worse for the defenses that tried stopping him because his prime became a nightmare they could never solve. Jim Plunkett. Jim Plunkett's journey took him from failed expectations to one of the most improbable success stories in NFL history. After early struggles, he arrived in Oakland as a backup with no guarantee he would ever start again. Then opportunity struck, and Plunkett delivered the kind of resurgence that teams dream about. He led the Raiders to a championship run built on toughness and timely deep shots, turning the season into a redemption arc nobody foresaw. When he repeated the feat with a second ring, his legacy became undeniable. Plunkett showed that careers can be reborn under the right circumstances, and defenses could not slow him when he found his rhythm. But that's not all, because his playoff performances transformed him into a legend. Brett Favre. Brett Favre began his run with Green Bay after Atlanta underestimated him, and that miscalculation turned into one of the greatest quarterback breakthroughs ever recorded. His aggressive style re-energized the franchise, and fans fell in love with the chaos he created on every snap. Favre played like every throw might explode, but the results kept coming, and the wins piled up. He brought Green Bay a championship, grabbed MVP awards, and became a symbol of durability with an Iron Man streak that may never be matched. His gunslinger mentality frustrated defenses and thrilled everyone watching, and each comeback felt larger than life. His rise proved risk can be a weapon, but you won't believe how the next quarterback handled pressure completely differently. Doug Williams. Doug Williams carried expectations that stretched far beyond football, and when his chance finally came, he delivered one of the most unforgettable performances in championship history. Starting as a backup, he stepped in when Washington needed stability, bringing a sense of control that quickly transformed the offense. His Super Bowl explosion, where he dismantled Denver with a barrage of deep throws, became a defining moment for the league. Williams turned pressure into momentum, and the victory cemented him as a trailblazer, whose impact stretched beyond wins and losses. His path was filled with setbacks, but that's not all, because each obstacle sharpened the resolve that made his peak so legendary. But first, only cool people are subscribed to this channel, so hit that subscribe button before we go any further. Jeff Hostetler. Jeff Hostetler spent years buried behind Phil Simms, and every season felt like another reminder that opportunity might never come. But when Simms went down late in the year, Hostetler stepped in with a calm confidence that shocked everyone who had written him off. He managed the chaos around him, made clutch throws, and kept the Giants steady during a playoff run few believed they could survive. Then came the title game, where Hostetler delivered under pressure and secured one of the most unlikely championships in franchise history. His performance turned frustration into triumph, proving patience can explode into greatness at the right moment. And what happens next shows how another quarterback used a similar path to revive his entire career. Randall Cunningham. Randall Cunningham arrived in Minnesota viewed as a veteran backup, a name from an earlier era, but his resurgence became one of the most electric returns football has ever seen. When Brad Johnson got injured, Cunningham stepped in and immediately ignited the Vikings offense, unlocking a deep passing attack that overwhelmed defenses. His connection with Randy Moss and Chris Carter created highlight moments every single week, and the team surged toward a dominant season. No analyst predicted Cunningham's poise, blended with explosive throws, turning him into the centerpiece of an unforgettable run. His comeback felt miraculous, and it gets crazier when you realize how close he had been to walking away completely. What comes next follows another quarterback who battled skepticism early, Tony Romo. Tony Romo rose from undrafted obscurity to become the unexpected heartbeat of the Dallas Cowboys. After years holding kicks and studying from the sidelines, he finally got his chance and instantly transformed the offense into a high-scoring machine. Romo played with improvisational swagger, extending plays that should have collapsed and turning broken moments into game-changing highlights. Fans embraced his competitiveness, even when critics circled after every mistake. His fourth-quarter heroics became a signature. And despite the pressure of carrying one of football's most scrutinized franchises, Romo kept delivering when the moment demanded it. His rise showed how perseverance can flip a career overnight, but that's not all, because the next quarterback on this list built his legacy even earlier, Terry Bradshaw. Terry Bradshaw's early years were filled with doubt, turnovers, and relentless pressure from a fan base desperate for a franchise savior. He entered the league as a top pick, yet still found himself battling for the starting job behind Terry Hanratty. But once Bradshaw finally seized control, he unlocked a dynasty that reshaped football history. His arm strength powered the Steelers' offense, and his confidence surged as the team built the iconic Steel Curtain identity. 4 championships later, his early struggles became part of the legend, a reminder that greatness often emerges from rocky beginnings. His leadership grew stronger under playoff lights, and each big moment added another chapter to a ridiculous career. And what follows is the story of another quarterback who defied every expectation, Doug Flutie. Doug Flutie's path felt unconventional from the start, and every step of his journey challenged what a quarterback was supposed to look like. After early struggles in the NFL, he revived his career in Canada, where he became a superstar who dominated with flair and fearlessness. When he returned to the league, he quickly proved he was far more than a novelty, taking over in Buffalo and sparking the team with creativity and precision. Fans loved his unpredictability, and defenses hated trying to contain him. When plays escaped structure, Flutie refused to fit any mold, showing that talent can thrive even when the league writes someone off. But that's not all, because the next quarterback carried an even heavier burden as a backup. Earl Morrall. Earl Morrall spent much of his career as the trusted insurance policy behind legendary starters, yet whenever chaos struck, he delivered performances that shaped football history. When Johnny Unitas went down, Morrall stepped in and led Baltimore to a championship appearance, showing elite command under enormous pressure. Years later, he repeated the feat in Miami, keeping the Dolphins perfect while Bob Grease recovered. His composure became a weapon, and coaches relied on him to stabilize seasons that should have collapsed. Morrall's adaptability made him invaluable, and each comeback secured his place as one of the greatest relief quarterbacks ever. His consistency proved that reliability can be just as powerful as flash, setting the stage for one last name who balanced roles unlike anyone else: George Blanda. George Blanda redefined longevity and versatility, carving out a career that felt impossible even by today's standards. He played more seasons than any quarterback before or since, thriving as both a passer and a clutch kicker when his teams needed stability. During his remarkable run with the Raiders, Blanda became the ultimate emergency solution, stepping in when games spiraled and delivering game-saving throws and field goals with ice-cold confidence. His late career heroics kept the team alive during pivotal moments, and fans watched a man in his 40s perform with the urgency of someone fighting for a roster spot. Blanda blended durability with instinct in a way no modern player has replicated. If you like this video, consider watching this next one, which YouTube thinks you are going to really love.